starts right now.
Below normal or freezing temperatures continuing tonight across the country. Among the hardest hit, the southeast. Near Tampa, Florida, cold water led to these manatees huddling together to try and stay warm. In Georgia, crews are working all night helping drivers as snow and ice are possible near Macon. North Carolina is preparing for winter storms as warnings are posted along the East Coast. And here in the Tri-Cities, waterfalls in Johnson County frozen in their tracks. And in Kingsport, Reedy Creek off the Greenbelt is also frozen over. Thanks for joining us for News 5 tonight at 11. I'm Julie Newman. We're going to go straight to the News 5 Weather Center where Chief Meteorologist Dave Dirks is tracking this frigid air. Dave?
Yeah, frigid enough to get down to 3 degrees this morning, breaking the record of 9 easily back in 1979. In fact, this is the coldest air that we've seen in the Tri-Cities since February of 2018. Now, we're going to be close again to the record low of 5 degrees tomorrow morning. In fact, many of us have dropped either into the upper single digits to the low to mid-teens. And while we may see a very modest warming trend tomorrow afternoon, I'll have the timing of the arrival of the next blast of Arctic air that will be equally as cold as what's been on over the Tri-Cities the past couple of days. Plus, I'll let you know what hometown around the area, or hometowns, could actually see a little bit of snow and some slick travel as this next blast of cold air moves in. And as you were mentioning, Julie, a lot of areas, streams, creeks, lakes, ponds are freezing over. Coming up, I'll let you know how thick that ice needs to be before it's safe to get onto it.
All right, Dave, looking forward to that. Thank you. And these forecasted single-digit temperatures are causing many opening delays for schools. Keep an eye there on the bottom of your screen on the red bar for the latest updated list throughout our newscast. And, of course, starting tomorrow morning at 4:30 a.m. on News 5 Today. Now, on top of those delays here in the Tri-Cities, the cold weather causing lots of problems all across the country. It can be detrimental to your home, particularly your water pipes. Bristol, Virginia and Johnson City reporting water line breaks last night. And if you have exposed pipes, they can freeze if you don't insulate them. Plumbers say you can wrap your pipes or just leave your water running a little bit to prevent freezing. A local plumber we talked to says as these temperatures tend to warm up, the pipes could thaw out and we could see even more broken pipes from too much water rushing through all at once. The blistering cold weather is freezing out Florida citrus farmers across that state. And to fight back, some are using micro irrigants to protect their trees. These sprinkler systems create ice around the citrus plants to keep them warm. Farmers say the trees should be safe until temperatures drop to 14 degrees. Most sales are already done for the season. However, harvesting should be complete in the next couple of weeks. An intense burst of snow squalls is being blamed for a 75-car pileup in New York that killed one person. New York State Police are telling us another person was seriously injured in that crash. It all happened this afternoon on the New York State Thruway near Buffalo. Parts of that road in both directions remain shut down tonight. If you walk near an area lake in the coming days, you may hear some weird sounds. Meteorologist Ricky Matthews is here to explain how the cold weather is actually causing it.
Did you hear it? The noise you just heard is actually the sound from the ice in a frozen lake shifting. Ice on lakes is dynamic. It expands and contracts as the temperature changes. Similar to a drum head or a cymbal, ice makes a resonating sound when something strikes it. So if you take an item like a rock, maybe a heavy one, and toss it into the lake, that sound you get is actually the ice vibrating up and down. The impact of the rock on the ice causes a sound wave to quickly radiate outward from the strike point, with higher pitched tones arriving first before the deeper tones. Different types of ice even produce different sounds. Clear ice often produces a more high-pitched sound, while snow ice, the opaque-looking type, produces a lower frequency sound, often easier to hear in the cold air. Cool science on a cold day. Getting the facts right, I'm meteorologist Ricky Matthews for News 5 WCYB.
Cool sounds indeed. And you can check out more cold weather science on our Facebook page. The Storm Track 5 weather team will also update you there with the latest forecasts. Just visit WCYB.com or any of our apps for more cold weather coverage. Our Our region is facing a shortage of nurses trained to handle sexual assault cases. Right now in Northeast Tennessee, there are around a half dozen nurses called SANEs. That stands for Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners. But the problem is they're all in Johnson City. News 5's Tiana Bonner found out how advocates in Sullivan County are trying to change that. Tiana?
Julie, leaders at the Sullivan County Family Justice Center will be training SANE nurses next week, and the training is intense. Nurses have to learn not only the medical and psychological parts, but the legal side as well. So over the week-long course, they'll be hearing from the Sullivan County District Attorney, local law enforcement, and the FBI. 72 hours. That's how long investigators have after a sex crime is committed to collect evidence. And it's a race against the clock.
We found out that there is not a single sexual assault nurse examiner at any of our 3 hospitals in Sullivan County.
That means victims have to make the trip to Johnson City or wait for an emergency room doctor to help.
It really makes your stomach turn. I think if you look at the TBI report, last year in Sullivan County, we had 268 sex crimes.
Once a crime is reported, it's the job of the SANE nurse to collect evidence from victims at their most vulnerable time. The Children's Advocacy Center sees an average of 40 abuse cases every month in Sullivan County.
If it's not done properly, it can be very painful for the child, and we don't want to traumatize the child again.
So advocates are excited their call for help is finally being answered.
Our local hospitals received letters from the district attorney about the need for sexual assault nurse examiners and immediately said, we will send nurses.
SANE nurses can also be called to testify in court. Advocates say they are vital in each case, and they may be the key to getting justice for victims.
This is really going to make an immediate difference in our community, and it's really something for people in Sullivan County to be proud of.
The training is a joint effort with ETSU. The Sullivan County Family Justice Center is planning to hold more trainings throughout the year. Julie?
Tiana, thank you. The Bristol, Tennessee City Council has approved the establishment of a new commercial district for the city. This would affect West State Street from Volunteer Parkway up to 18th Street. Now, according to City Manager Bill Sora, that move could eventually lead to a change of zoning for the area. That change would allow for easier redevelopment along the corridor. He tells us this is just the first step in the change, but it'll take months for those to be put into place. First of all, the Planning Commission must study the change and recommend it to the council. Construction that was set to get underway today for the new shopping and sports development in Abingdon has been postponed again. Blasting in Abingdon for the Meadows project is now scheduled for tomorrow at 12:30 in the afternoon. Officials say it's because of this extreme cold weather, along with some other factors. During the blasting, there will be a rolling roadblock on Interstate 81. The site is expected to house a new food city and a retail space, plus a 40-acre sports complex. Greenville, North Carolina police say an off-duty police officer shot and killed a suspected shoplifter outside of a sporting goods store. Police say their officer was shopping at the store when a person told him a man was allegedly shoplifting. The officer confronted the 35-year-old man, identified himself, and displayed his credentials. Police say there was a struggle, and the man tried to attack the officer with a knife. The officer was able to draw his weapon and shot the suspect, who died at the scene. Law enforcement is now investigating. Utah Senator Orrin Hatch announcing today that he is not seeking re-election this year. That decision clears the way for Mitt Romney to return to the national stage by running for his seat. Andy Rose reports on what factors were part of this decision.
Only in a nation like ours could someone like me, the scrappy son of a simple carpenter, grow up to become a United States Senator.
On Tuesday, America's longest-serving Republican senator announced his retirement. Republican Orrin Hatch from Utah will not be seeking an 8th term.
Every good fighter knows when to hang up the gloves. And for me, that time is soon approaching.
Hatch has served in the Senate since 1977, authoring and helping to pass mountains of legislation and even confirming every current member of the Supreme Court. His latest legislative victory was the passing of last month's tax reform bill. President Donald Trump counts Hatch as one of his biggest supporters in Congress, even urging Hatch to stay in the Senate as recently as December.
You are a true fighter, Orrin. We hope you will continue to serve your state and your country in the Senate for a very long time to come.
But now, with that seat coming up for grabs, one of Trump's most outspoken critics in the party could very well fill the position. Former presidential candidate Mitt Romney called Trump a fraud and phony during the 2016 election. And in August, Romney slammed Trump's handling of the deadly violence in Charlottesville, saying Trump's remark caused racists to rejoice. And though earlier this year, Hatch himself told the National Journal that Romney would be a perfect replacement for him, in a statement released today, Romney praised Hatch's service but made no mention of a Senate run for himself. Andy Rose, News 5 WCYB.
Are you feeling lucky? Did you buy a ticket? If you did, go get it right now during this commercial break, because coming up, we have the winning numbers from the Mega Millions drawing. Also ahead, could the Winter Olympics be inspiring peace talks between North and South Korea? We'll look into it for you. And it was cold enough today to break a record, but what about tomorrow? Chief Meteorologist Dave Dirks is back with your most accurate forecast in the region right after the break.